The champagne flute shattered against the terracotta tiles of the villa's courtyard, its golden liquid pooling like spilled sunlight at Esme's feet. "You think you can just erase me from this family like I was never here?" Adeline's voice cracked like thunder over the Andalusian hills, her green eyes blazing as she stared down her mother, whose face had drained to the color of the whitewashed walls behind her. In that frozen instant, the air thickened with the scent of olive blossoms and unspoken betrayals, pulling everyone. The caterers frozen mid-stride, the distant strum of a flamenco guitar halting abruptly, into the vortex of a love long denied. Adeline Vargas had always known her heart beat to a rhythm her family couldn't dance to. Born in the sun-baked sprawl of Malaga, Spain, to American expat parents who'd chased dreams of vineyard life after a Silicon Valley burnout, she grew up straddling worlds. The salty tang of the Mediterranean mixing with her mother's stories of New York subways, and her father's tales of California surf. But it was Esme Ruiz who made the divide feel like home. They met at 17, in the dusty backroom of a local art supply store where Adeline sketched feverishly and Esme restocked canvases with the quiet grace of someone who saw beauty in the broken. Esme, with her family's deep roots in the soil of Andalusia, her abuela a renowned flamenco dancer, her father a winemaker whose hands were stained eternally purple, whispered poetry into Adeline's ear on moonlit walks along the Costa del Sol. "We're like the waves and the cliffs," Esme would say, her hazel eyes catching the starlight. "We crash but we endure." By 22, their love had woven itself into the fabric of their lives, as natural as the Sirocco winds that swept the coast. They shared a tiny apartment above a tapas bar in the old town, its walls plastered with Adeline's charcoal drawings of Esme's profile. Strong jaw, full lips curved in that secret smile, and Esme's watercolors of Adeline laughing in the surf, her auburn hair wild and salt-kissed. They dreamed big American-style dreams filtered through Spanish romance. A wedding on the cliffs, vows exchanged under an arch of wild bougainvillea, followed by a life of travel, art shows in Madrid, and maybe kids one day, adopted from some corner of the world that needed their light. But Elena Vargas, Adeline's mother, had other plans. Elena, a former marketing exec from Chicago with a penchant for control that rivaled the iron grip of Franco's old regime, had uprooted her family to Spain for authenticity, only to impose her own rigid authenticity on them. "This isn't how we do things," she'd hissed when Adeline finally came out at 24, during a family dinner where the paella had gone cold. The words landed like a slap. Elena's blue eyes, mirror images of none, a transplant from the Midwest, narrowing as if Adeline's confession was a business deal gone sour. Javier, Adeline's father, had merely cleared his throat, his surf-weathered face creasing in discomfort, before retreating to his study with a bottle of Rioja. And Sophia, Adeline's younger sister by 5 years, the golden child with her straight S and conventional charm, had simply patted Adeline's hand and said, "It'll pass, Addie." Like a phase. Didn't pass. Adeline and Esme's commitment deepened, a quiet rebellion against the silence. They planned their wedding in secret at first, nights curled on their threadbare sofa, laptops glowing as they pinned venues on ethereal boards. A rustic finca in the hills, string lights twinkling like fireflies, a menu of fresh seafood and Esme's abuela's gazpacho. Adeline sketched invitations with swirling fonts, hearts intertwined like olive branches. Esme curated playlists of indie folk tunes mixed with Spanish guitar, envisioning their first dance under the stars. They budgeted fiercely, Adeline's freelance graphic design gigs and Esme's part-time teaching at the local school scraping together deposits for the photographer, the florist, the officiant who specialized in non-traditional unions. When they invited the family, 6 months before the date, Elena's response was a masterpiece of passive aggression. The email arrived at dawn, subject line, "Family Matters. We're proud of who you are, Adeline, but marriage? In our faith, in our culture, it's not right. We've saved for weddings, real ones. This is a party if you must. But don't expect us to fund a farce." Attached was a check for €5,000, enough for a blowout bash, but a fraction of what they'd need for the legal ceremony they craved, one that Spain had legalized for same-sex couples a decade prior. Yet Elena treated like a foreign import, unfit for her American-Spanish hybrid empire. The check sat uncashed on the kitchen table for weeks, a paperweight anchoring their grief. Esme cried first, her tears soaking Adeline's shirt as they lay in bed, the ceiling fan whirring like accusations. "They don't see us," she whispered. Adeline held her tighter, vowing, "We'll make it ours anyway. No one's banning our love." They scaled back. A civil ceremony at the town hall, followed by a potluck reception in a public park. Friends from the art collective and Esme's school colleagues bringing dishes and toasts. It was raw real. Adeline in a tailored white jumpsuit she'd sewn herself, Esme in a vintage lace dress from her abuela's attic. They exchanged rings forged from recycled silver, simple bands etched with waves. Under the olive trees with the sea crashing below, they kissed to cheers and a lone guitarist strumming Bésame Mucho. For that afternoon the world felt whole. But the rift widened like a fault line. Elena sent a fruit basket for the celebration. Unsigned. Javier called once, mumbling about giving it time. Sophia attended, her smile brittle as she hugged Adeline goodbye, whispering, "Mom's just old-fashioned." Adeline swallowed the lump in her throat, tasting the lie. Old-fashioned was tapas without aioli. This was erasure. Years blurred into a tapestry of quiet victories and shadowed aches. Adeline's art took off. Galleries in Barcelona clamoring for her bold portraits of queer women against Spanish landscapes, fierce and unapologetic. Esme advanced to principal at the school, her passion for inclusive education turning the curriculum toward stories of diverse loves. They adopted a rescue dog, a scruffy terrier named Mar, and renovated their apartment into a sunlit haven, walls alive with their shared creations. Love, they learned, wasn't a single vow but a daily recommitment. Morning coffees on the balcony, Esme's hand in Adeline's during evening walks, the way they anticipated each other's silences like a secret language. Yet the family loomed a distant storm. Holidays were Elena's domain, lavish gatherings at the family villa, where Adeline and Esme were welcomed as friends, their marriage rings politely ignored. Sophia, ever the bridge, would text Adeline photos of the feasts, captions like "Wish you were here, sis," oblivious or willfully blind to the subtext. At 29, Sophia announced her engagement to Tomás, a handsome architect from Seville with a family fortune in sherry production. The wedding planning commenced like a military campaign. Elena at the helm, spreadsheets and mood boards proliferating. Adeline received updates in drips. Sophia's color scheme is ivory and sage, so elegant. Each one a reminder of the dreams she'd buried. Then the invitation arrived, embossed gold on cream cardstock. Sophia and Tomás, June 15th, Finca El Olivar. Adeline's breath caught at the details. The vineyard venue with bougainvillea arches, string lights, a menu echoing gazpacho and seafood towers. It was hers. There. The pins from her board digitized and deployed. She showed Esme, who traced the elegant script with a trembling finger. Did she? Esme trailed off, but Adeline knew. A quick scroll through Sophia's socials confirmed it. Posts gushing about Mom's visionary planning. Photos of fabric swatches and floral mock-ups that matched Adeline's sketches to the petal. Betrayal bloomed hot and immediate, a vine choking the chest. Adeline drove to the villa that evening, Esme in the passenger seat, her hand a steady anchor on Adeline's knee. The confrontation unfolded in the courtyard as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in strokes of crimson and gold. The shattered glass was Adeline's, her hand slipping as Elena, mid-sentence about practicality, waved dismissively at a binder of plans. "It's not stealing, darling," Elena said now, her voice a velvet blade. "You didn't use them. Sophia needs this, a real start. You too. You're happy without all that fuss, aren't you?" Esme stepped forward then, her presence a calm fire. "Happy? We've built a life on the scraps you left us. This isn't about fuss, Elena. It's about seeing your daughter, both of them, as worthy of the same joy." Elena's lips thinned, her eyes flicking to Javier, who hovered in the doorway like a ghost, hands wringing a dish towel. Sophia emerged from the house, her blonde hair catching the last light, eyes wide with the dawning horror of complicity. "Addie, I didn't know. Mom said they were just ideas, generic ones. I swear." But the words rang hollow, laced with the ease of inheritance, the straight path paved while Adeline hacked through thorns. The argument stretched into the twilight, voices rising like the cicadas' chorus. Accusations flew. Elena's fear of scandal in their expat circle, Javier's cowardice masked as neutrality, Sophia's guilt wrapped in denial. Adeline's heart fractured anew, each shard reflecting the girl who'd once dreamed of family unity under Spanish skies. Esme pulled her back when the sobs threatened, whispering, We're enough. Always have been. They left as stars pricked the velvet dark, the villa shrinking in the rearview. Silence cocooned the car, broken only by Mar's soft whines from the back seat. At home they collapsed onto the sofa, Esme brewing chamomile tea while Adeline stared at the rings on her finger, symbols of a love uninvited but unbreakable. The wedding loomed like a specter 2 weeks away. Adeline wrestled with attendants. Go and reclaim the narrative or stay and let the wound scar. Esme advocated grace. Show them what real love looks like. Not by absence but by presence. Friends rallied, the art collective planning a parallel celebration, a reclaiming party, with their original playlist and potluck dreams revived. On the day, Adeline dressed in emerald silk, a nod to her eyes to growth amid ruin. Esme, radiant in sapphire, pinned a wildflower to her lapel. They arrived at the finca as guests milled, the air humming with laughter and marimba strains. The arch stood as envisioned, bougainvillea defiant in the breeze. Sophia spotted them first, rushing over in her ivory gown, mascara streaked. You came. I'm so sorry. Adeline hugged her, the embrace fierce. I know you are. But sorry doesn't rewrite the script. Elena approached during the cocktail hour, her face a mask of forced poise, pearls gleaming like armor. Adeline, Esme, this means the world. Adeline met her gaze steady. Does it? Or is it just optics? The words hung, Elena faltering before Javier interjected, voice gruff. We've been wrong. Let us try. It wasn't absolution but a crack in the wall. As vows echoed, Tomas's earnest promises to Sophia, Adeline slipped away to the hillside overlook, Esme beside her. The sea stretched endless below, waves whispering forgiveness. What now? Esme asked, lacing their fingers. Adeline smiled, tears salting her lips. We renew. Our way. Invite them or not, but we live it louder. Below, the reception swirled on, but up here their world held only each other. The crash of waves, the endurance of cliffs. In the months that followed, fractures mended unevenly. Elena attended a gallery opening, her critiques softening to questions. Javier joined them for walks, Mar trotting between. Sophia, newlywed, confessed over wine. I envied your fire, Addie. Mine's comfortable. They laughed, sisters reclaiming lost ground. Adeline and Esme's renewal was small, sacred. The park where they'd first danced, friends circling with lanterns. No arches, just arms linked. Elena came, eyes misty, whispering, beautiful. It wasn't perfection. A journey, human and halting. Under Spanish stars, love proved not banned but boundless. They crashed, endured, and in the enduring found home. The renewal ceremony lingered like a melody half remembered, its notes fading into the rhythm of ordinary days. Adeline woke to sunlight slanting through the shutters, Esme's leg thrown over hers in sleep, the faint scent of lavender from her hair. Downstairs, Mar scratched at the door, impatient for his morning constitutional along the pebbled paths of the old town. Adeline brewed coffee strong as her resolve, black and unadorned, while Esme patted in, yawning, her robe slipping off one shoulder. Buenos dias, mi amor, she murmured, stealing a kiss that tasted of sleep and promise. Life resumed its tapestry, threads of work and whimsy interlacing. Adeline's latest series, portraits titled Cliffs and Crashes, sold out in Seville, critics praising the raw humanism that captured queer resilience against cultural tides. Esme's school initiative, Stories Unsilenced, brought guest speakers, lesbian poets from Barcelona, trans activists from Madrid, into classrooms, sparking debates that echoed into family dinners at local bodegas. Yet beneath the triumphs a quiet undercurrent tugged. The family's tentative overtures, like vines testing new soil. Elena's first real step came unexpectedly. A parcel arriving at their door wrapped in butcher paper, tied with twine. Inside, a leather-bound album, yellowed photos chronicling Adeline's childhood, gap-toothed grins on Blackpool beaches, awkward teen sketches pinned to villa walls. Tucked between pages, a letter in Elena's precise script. I see now how I clipped your wings fearing the fall. These are yours. And if you'll have me, I'd like to learn to fly beside you. Adeline traced the words, throat tight, before passing it to Esme, who read aloud, her voice steadying them both. They invited Elena for lunch that Sunday, a neutral ground at a seaside cafe where waves lapped at wooden pilings. She arrived in linen slacks and a blouse the color of sea glass, her hair, once a severe bob, now softened with waves. Conversation danced awkwardly. Weather, the dog's antics, Adeline's upcoming exhibit. Then, haltingly, Elena broached the past. I grew up in a house where love was a transaction. Marry well, produce heirs, keep the facade. Coming here I thought Spain would rewrite that. Instead, I imposed it. Her eyes, so like a stranger's now, glistened. Esme reached across the table, hand open. And now? Elena took it, tentative. Now I want to unlearn. Javier's reconciliation was earthier. A shared hike in the Sierra de las Nieves, where cork oaks whispered secrets to the wind. He carried a backpack of provisions, chorizo sandwiches, fresh figs, a thermos of his homemade vermouth, apologizing in monosyllables between bites. I surfed out cowards, kiddo. Should have caught this wave. Adeline punched his arm lightly, the old rhythm returning. By trail's end, as they watched vultures wheel overhead, he admitted, proud of you. Of both. It was enough. Sophia's bridge building was the most fraught, laced with the sting of unwitting theft. She and Tomas honeymooned in the Greek Isles, returning tanned and effusive, but Sophia's calls grew frequent, laced with vulnerability. Marriages work, Addie. Tomas is steady, but your fire with Esme? It's magic. One evening, she appeared at their door with a bottle of vintage sherry and a USB drive. Mom's old files. I found your originals, the real ones. Thought we could rebuild together. They did. Over weeks, the sisters pored over digital boards, Sophia's practicality tempering Adeline's flair. What emerged wasn't a wedding redo but a family vow renewal. A gathering at the villa, all of them, Elena's, Javier's, Sophia's, Tomas's, committing to presence over perfection. Esme orchestrated the emotional core, weaving in readings from Audre Lorde and Federico Garcia Lorca, voices of love unbound. Adeline sketched the invitations anew, hearts now flanked by cliffs. But harmony, like sangria, could curdle if stirred wrong. The catalyst arrived in autumn, when Elena announced a legacy project, a memoir of their expat life, self-published for the family. Excitement buzzed at first. Adeline contributed anecdotes, Esme photos. Then advance copies circulated and the cracks showed. Elena's narrative painted their move to Spain as a heroic reinvention, glossing over the cultural clashes that birthed Adeline's queerness as a youthful rebellion, rather than innate truth. The wedding chapter? A sanitized tale of Sophia's fairy tale day, with Adeline's ceremony footnoted as a lovely gathering for close friends. Rage simmered slow, then boiled over at a pre-publication dinner. Adeline arrived late, fresh from a gallery meeting, her temper already frayed by a client's demands. The table gleamed with crystal and candlelight, Elena at the head, beaming as she passed drafts. Adeline flipped to the offending pages, her fork clattering. This is your truth. Elena blinked, feigning confusion. It's our story, darling. Balanced. Esme's voice cut in, calm but edged. You erase us again. Not with silence this time, but with half-lies. Sophia shifted uncomfortably, Tomas clearing his throat. Javier muttered, Elena. But she pressed on, defensive. I'm trying. Progress takes time. Adeline stood, chair scraping like a verdict. Time? We've given you years. This isn't progress, it's patronage. She stormed out, Esme following, the night air cool against flushed skin. In the car, Adeline gripped the wheel, knuckles white. I thought we were past this. Esme's hand on her thigh grounded her. We are. But she isn't. The question is, do we wait or walk? The fallout rippled. Sophia texted apologies, Javier called with gruff support. Elena sent flowers, roses, symbolic thorns, and a revised draft, chapters reworked with Adeline's input. Their love is central, not sidebar. It was imperfect, Elena's voice still echoing old echoes, but a concession. They attended the launch at a cozy bookstore in Malaga, shelves groaning with local authors. Elena read haltingly from the queer chapter, her voice cracking on unconditional. Afterward, in the crush of signings, she hugged Adeline fiercely. Thank you for fighting me to better. Winter softened into spring, the coast blooming riotous. Adeline and Esme planned a trip, New York, Elena's old stomping grounds, to trace roots and reclaim narratives. Invitations extended. Family optional. Sophia jumped, Tomas demurring work. Javier opted in, Elena hesitated, then yes. The journey became a pilgrimage. Subways rattling like old friends, Central Park picnics echoing childhood tales. A Broadway show where tears flowed freely during a lesbian love song. Back in Spain, the villa transformed. Elena hosted story nights. Circles where truths tumbled out. Javier's hidden bisexuality from youth. Sophia's quiet pansexuality she buried for safety. Laughter mingled with sobs. Bonds reforged in vulnerability. Adeline watched Esme facilitate. Her wife's empathy a lighthouse and felt gratitude swell. Yet climax brewed in subtlety. A storm gathering over the renewal. The day dawned misty, the park veiled in fog rolling off the sea. Guests arrived, art friends in bohemian layers, school parents with kids in tow bearing paella pots and guitars. The arch, rebuilt from salvaged wood, stood humble. Adeline and Esme, in matching linen shifts embroidered with waves, stood hand in hand as the officiant. A local rabbi with a poet's soul spoke of enduring loves. Mid-vows, Elena approached the circle's edge. Javier beside her, Sophia beaming from the front row. She held a small box, trembling. "May I?" At Adeline's nod, she opened it. 2 antique earrings, sapphires like Esme's eyes, inherited from Elena's mother. "For the brides. Because you both deserve every sparkle." The gesture landed soft, a bridge without fanfare. As they danced later, feet shuffling on grass to at last, Adeline pulled Esme close. "We made it." Esme's laugh bubbled. "We're making it. Every day." The family lingered post-party, helping pack leftovers, stories flowing like wine. No grand finale, just the humanistic hum of connection. Flawed, fierce, forward. Summer unfurled its lazy heat over Malaga. The air thick with jasmine and the distant hum of tourists bartering in the markets. Adeline's studio, a sunlit corner of their apartment overlooking the Alcazaba's ancient walls, buzzed with new energy. Her latest commission, a mural for a queer youth center in Granada, demanded bold strokes. Women entwined in olive groves, their forms echoing Picasso's grace but infused with contemporary fire. Esme often wandered in during lunch breaks, balancing trays of gazpacho and pan con tomate, her critiques gentle as sea foam. "More curve here, more. Let her hips speak." Their life, once shadowed by familial eclipses, now basked in steady light. The memoir's release had sparked unexpected ripples. Local press interviews, a book club invitation from Esme's school, even a podcast spot where Elena, voice quivering, shared her unlearning arc. Adeline listened from the kitchen radio one evening, knife pausing mid-chop of eggplant for dinner. Pride warred with wariness. Progress was a path, not a peak. Sophia's pregnancy announcement arrived like confetti. A video call where she and Tomas beamed, ultrasound blob waving hello. "Auntie Addie. Tia Esme." The joy was uncomplicated, a bomb. They planned a baby shower at the villa, Elena delegating with uncharacteristic restraint, Sophia vetoing gender reveal nonsense for a story shower. Guests sharing tales of their own childhoods, wrapped around gifts. But beneath the domestic idol, subtle tensions simmered. Javier's health scare, a mild heart episode during a solo surf, brought the family orbiting close. Hospital visits in sterile white rooms, Elena's hand in his, Adeline reading aloud from her sketches to distract. "Stubborn old coot," he grumbled, but his eyes shone when Esme smuggled in contraband empanadas. Recovery meant lifestyle shifts. More walks, less Rioja. Adeline joined him often, their strides sinking along the promenade, conversations deepening. "Regret the silence most," he confessed one dusk, gulls wheeling above. "Thought protecting you meant staying neutral. Fool's surf." Adeline squeezed his arm. "You're here now. That's the wave." Forgiveness, she realized, was tidal. Ebbing resentment, flowing acceptance. Elena's evolution proved thornier. A rose with hidden pricks. She volunteered at the youth center, co-facilitating workshops on family dynamics, her corporate polish yielding to raw shares. Yet old habits lingered. Unsolicited advice on Adeline's career balance, or a offhand comment at dinner about traditional values evolving slowly. Esme fielded them with diplomat's grace, but Adeline felt the chafe, a reminder that healing scarred. The breaking point crested in late August during Sophia's shower. The villa garden bloomed under fairy lights, tables groaning with tapas and mocktails. Laughter rang as guests, neighbors, colleagues, a flamenco troupe Sophia adored, shared stories. Elena, radiant in a caftan, emceed with flair. Then during toasts she rose, glass aloft. To new beginnings like Sophia's. And to lessons learned, from my daughters who taught me love's many faces. Applause swelled, but Adeline caught the qualifier. Faces plural yet vague, sidestepping names. Esme's glance met hers, supportive, urging breath. Later, as cake was sliced, almond torte, Esme's recipe, Elena pulled Adeline aside by the fountain, water trickling like unsaid words. I meant it. I'm proud. Adeline nodded but pressed. Proud of what exactly? The faces or us? Elena faltered, blue eyes searching. Both. Oh, I struggle with the words. Then listen, Adeline said, voice low. Esme and I aren't faces. We're your daughters-in-law, your family. Say it plain or the pride rings hollow. Elena's chin lifted, defensive flicker. I'm 80% there. Isn't that enough? The garden's cheer faded to static. Adeline walked away, heart pounding, finding Esme amid the dancers. Not tonight, Esme murmured, pulling her into a slow sway. Tomorrow's tide. Tomorrow brought storm clouds, literal and figurative. Rain lashed the coast, canceling a planned beach day. Huddled in the apartment, Adeline sketched furiously. Storm-tossed figures clinging to cliffs, while Esme graded papers, Mark curled at her feet. A knock echoed. Elena, soaked, clutching a sodden envelope. I rewrote it. The dedication. For the next printing. Adeline took it, unfolding with damp fingers. To Adeline and Esme, my daughters of the heart, who showed me love's boundless sea. And to Sophia, my light. Tears blurred the ink. Elena stood shivering, vulnerable. 80% wasn't enough. I want all in. The embrace was fierce, rain mingling with salt. Esme joined, a triad mending. Javier arrived later, towel drying his hair, grumbling about dramatic downpours, but his hug spoke volumes. Autumn deepened colors, the vineyards turning to fire, markets heaped with pomegranates. Sophia's belly swelled, ultrasounds revealing a girl they named Luna. After moonlit walks, Adeline and Esme decorated a nursery corner at the villa, mobiles of paper cranes symbolizing flight. Climax arrived not in thunder but whisper, during Luna's birth. Labor stretched through a starless night, Elena pacing like a general, Javier brewing endless teas. Adeline and Esme waited in the hall, hands clasped when Sophia's cry pierced. Addie! Esme! Come hold her. In the room amid beeps and blooms, Sophia placed the swaddled bundle in their arms. Luna's eyes, slate blue like the sea, blinked up. Her godmamas, Sophia declared. Elena nodded, tears carving paths. Family. The moment crystallized. Betrayals echo silenced by blood and bond. No grand speeches, just the weight of a tiny hand in theirs. Winter holidays wove them tighter. Noche buena at the villa, menorah candles flickering beside nativity scenes, toasts blending traditions. Adeline gifted Elena a portrait. The family on the hillside, figures intertwined, no erasures. Spring heralded renewal's echo. Adeline's mural unveiling, Esme's promotion to district advisor. They adopted a second dog, a gentle greyhound named Soul, balancing Mars Terrier chaos. Years layered like sedimentary rock, each stratum a story. Luna toddled between aunts, her first word Esme, drawing delighted squeals. Sophia and Tomas navigated parenthood's tempests, leaning on the sisters' steadiness. Javier surfed gentler waves, Elena penned a sequel memoir. Waves We Rode, co-authored, voices harmonizing. Adeline and Esme, gray threading their hair, still danced on balconies, rings glinting. Love, they knew, was the ultimate humanism. Flawed humans choosing each other daily, defiantly. In Spain's eternal sun they endured. Decades etched their marks softly, like waves sculpting stone. Adeline, at 52, traded charcoal for digital tablets, her exhibits touring Europe, Berlin's galleries lauding her transatlantic queer gaze. Esme, 54, retired to consult on inclusive curricula, her days filled with mentoring young teachers over café con leches. Their home expanded, a garden cottage on the vineyard's edge, gifted by Javier before his passing at 78. His final surf a peaceful one under summer swells. Luna grew into a whirlwind of curiosity, 12 now, with Sophia's blonde curls and Tomas's thoughtful brow. She declared herself pan like pancakes at 10, earning Adeline's wink in Esme's story circle. Family gatherings pulsed with her energy. Board games where she trounced Tomas at chess. Beach bonfires where she recited Lorca from memory. Elena's 90th loomed. A milestone laced with reflection. Frailty crept. Arthritic hands that once gripped ledgers now trembled over teacups, but her spirit sharpened, opinions unfiltered. I was a fool, she'd say unprompted, eyes on the horizon. Banned what I couldn't understand. Now, I celebrate. Her memoir series evolved into a foundation, funding scholarships for LGBTQ+ artists in Andalusia. Adeline on the board. Sophia, ever the anchor, balanced career and motherhood. Her architecture firm designing eco-villas that echoed Adeline's sketches. Open, light-filled spaces for diverse lives. Tomas thrived as a sherry innovator. Their marriage a steady harbor amid life's gales. Yet no arc lacked shadow. Elena's dementia flickered early signs. Forgotten names, repeated tales, stirring fears of regression. One afternoon during a villa tea, she mistook Esme for a dear friend, patting her hand. Such a lovely guest. The room stilled. Adeline's chest tightened, old wounds whispering erasure. Esme, ever the rock, smiled gently. I'm family, Elena. Always. But later in the garden, Adeline wept against Esme's shoulder. What if she unlearns us? The confrontation came soft, inevitable. Elena's doctor recommended memory aids, journals, photos labeled. Adeline curated an album. Their wedding clips, renewal vows, Luna's baptisms. Anchor her to truth, the specialist advised. Sessions began, Elena journaling daily. Adeline and Esme, daughters, married my joy. Progress was patchwork, lucid days of laughter, foggy ones of confusion. Climax crested during Elena's birthday gala. A modest affair in the Finca's Great Hall, string quartet playing Vivaldi. Guests toasted her legacy, Luna reciting a poem she'd penned. Grandma's sea, wide and wild, holds all our waves. Elena, elegant in lavender, beamed. Then, mid-dance with Javier's ghost in her eyes, she faltered, gripping Adeline's arm. Who? Panic etched her voice. Adeline knelt steady. Me. You're Addie. And Esme over there, your daughter-in-law. We've got you. Elena's gaze cleared fractionally, tears spilling. The wedding. Words failed, but understanding dawned. She pulled them close, whispering, don't let go. The hall hushed, then resumed, a collective breath. Sophia hurried over, Tomas corralling Luna. In that vulnerability, betrayal's final thread snapped. Not with fury but grace. Elena rallied post-party, her journal entries fervent. Remember, love bans nothing. Winter brought snow to the Sierras, rare and magical. Family hunkered in the cottage, fires crackling, stories spun. Elena's decline accelerated, but lucidity gifted moments. A shared gaze with Adeline over chess, a dance with Esme to old jazz records. Her passing came gentle in spring's bloom, surrounded by them all. Luna, tear-streaked, placed wildflowers on her chest. She sailed home, the girl said, wise beyond years. The funeral wove sorrow with celebration. Eulogies blending Elena's flaws and flights. A flamenco tribute echoing her unlearned steps. Adeline spoke last, voice unwavering. She banned, then built. That's human. After life cascaded forward, the foundation flourished, Luna interning there at 16, her art fierce like Adeline's. Sophia and Tomas weathered a rough patch, career pulls straining, but emerged renewed, therapy their bougainvillea arch. Adeline and Esme, silver crown, traveled light. Morocco's markets, Iceland's auroras, always returning to the coast. Their love season deepened. Anniversaries marked with quiet rituals. Cliffside picnics, sketches of each other's lines. One golden evening as sunset bled into sea, they sat on their porch, mar and soul dozing at feet. Luna, home from university, joined with her girlfriend, a poet with ink-stained fingers. Sophia and family trickled in, Tomas grilling sardines. To endurance, Adeline toasted, glass clinking. To crashing beautifully, Esme added. Laughter rose, stars emerging. In Spain's embrace, under American dreams reborn, they were whole, betrayals transmuted to bonds, a legacy of waves unending.